All right, guys, I'm hiking up the first few miles of the Chilkoot Trail, which I'm going to be taking when I do the Chilkoot Pass tomorrow, up and over into British Columbia. But I'm going to hike the first, 5 miles or so today, and then raft back with my pack raft on the Taiya River, which happens to go right by my camp. So I GPS tagged where camp is, and got kind of a landmark there. Looked at kind of the lay of the river, so hopefully I can identify it when I'm coming down. And then I'm hiking up to a place called Finnegan's Point, which is the first camp if you were going to be hiking the Chilkoot Pass. Hopefully heading up there, and then I'm going to put in on the river and run it down. Been talking to a couple of the local guides and rangers, and it is navigable, but there's probably at least one portage, if not two. One of them I can scout, and there's a pretty decent landmark as to when the trail cuts off towards Finnegan's. You can get down to the river and see where this kind of log jam is that I'll have to walk around once I reach it in the water, but it'll give me a chance to see what it looks like, so I'm not surprised as I come around. The other portage I don't have much information on, other than it's obvious. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of kind of read and run scouting on this one. And I've heard at this water level, much to the kind of surprise of some of the locals that ran it yesterday, that it's got a couple of decent size 3 or class 3 rapids on it. Evidently one of the guys actually took a swim and lost his pack raft, but he's able to come back the next day and reclaim it from an eddy that hung onto it all night and didn't damage it. I'm hoping to be a little luckier than that and stay in the boat, but I don't have any real information about the rapids themselves. So again, read and run. So this is the kind of thing I'm a little worried about, and I got to be kind of aware of in advance if possible, is these trees that are going all the way across the river. There's actually two there stacked on top of each other. But if this is the only channel to choose from, I got to find a way around that. There's a little bit of a sneak between the bank and that trunk, but depending on how high the current is, that may not be a whole lot of fun to try. So these are the kind of things I'm trying to keep an eye out for when I've got view of the river as I'm heading upstream. But that's probably more dangerous than any of the rapids on the river. I'm a little over halfway to Finnegan's Point, which I'm kind of using as my put-in. I've been able to see the river quite a few times and kind of see what areas are passable. I haven't found anything that was completely non-navigable and requiring a portage, but I did run into another guide who was out here running a hiking trip that mentioned there's a pretty significant log jam just upstream from where they typically run their float trips, and that may be why that's where they picked for their float trip put in. They can get a chance to see what that looked like, so I don't really know what I'm getting into with that one, but I kind of know the worries about it is I did a little waypoint drop on my GPS so that I can hopefully see kind of a heads up, but I don't know what it looks like. But I know that's the one portage I'm sure of. I do want to show these kind of cool boardwalks they've built over a bunch of stagnant water, just completely full of mosquitoes. But the boardwalks are sure cool, and I can see that it's an improvement from the old boardwalks that are 10 20 feet off over the same little bogs. So they do a decent bit of trail work out here, it looks like, and pretty high quality. But so as far as the river section goes, I still haven't exactly seen what's been looked out for, so going into this a little bit more blind than I would like, but we'll see how we go. All right, I went up to Finnegan's Point and didn't seem to have a real good place to put in, but going a little further upstream, it really isn't much better. So Finnegan's Point is right where a channel is next to the trail, small one that's got a bunch of blowdowns on it that I don't want to be in. And the real main channel is on the far side. So I'm thinking if I can cross on one of those blowdowns and get across to kind of the island that's in the middle that forms the channel at Finnegan's Crossing, then I'll have a decent place to launch right out into the main channel. So I get a better launch, but I'll have to deal with a potentially sketchy crossing of that minor channel. We'll see how it goes. So turns out the crossing is way less sketchy than I thought, and it's super shallow. Also another reason I'm glad I didn't boat that. But whoo, that water is cold. I do not want to swim. It actually makes me think I probably should have brought better splash gear and stuff for this particular portion. But luckily sun's still out, and it'll be out for a while. It's just about 6 o'clock now. Sunset is at 10:30 p.m. It's a weird place up here, man. Sunrise, I think it's 3:30, something like that, a.m. So I at least have that in my advantage. If I do get wet, get on the bank, warm myself up that way. My feet are already feeling okay now that they're getting out of the water. So I've got a decent bank to push off from. I'm gonna build my boat right there. Beautiful stream coming in, waterfall here, and then I'll push off. Man, this place is amazing.